as soon pay the same amount of money for an amateur as a professional. And if you're getting ready to hire as a consumer a professional, how do you know you're getting one?
Well, that's why you got to do your due diligence.
Okay, but what are you looking for?
You know, track record, background, knowledge, case studies, depending on the product or, service that you're getting.
Are there any defining characteristics that stand out that let you know someone's a professional? Because everybody's going to say they are.
Oh, yeah.
I see it every day. I'm a pro. And that's kind of where we're going to get to today.
I think to me, it's the customer service aspect of it. The customer service, the follow up, the how they treat me as the customer that's purchasing whatever the product is, if it's service or whatever, that it's the way they go about presenting, not just presenting themselves, but how they communicate and how they view this position. They take themselves seriously and they're taking their work seriously.
Okay.
The
So
reviews on their pages as well. You have
That's a good.
you have to look them up, see, if it's a business, are they with the Better Business Bureau, what their ratings are, what customers are saying about them, testimonials, things like that, because they could be a professional, but yet their ratings, are not high because they maybe haven't fulfilled the job that they promised to customers.
Okay. Can a part-time person have the same type of reviews?
I think so. I mean, I think, there's different positions that you don't have to be completely working full time in. But if you're putting the same effort as if you were working as a full time, agent, professional in whatever industry, as long as those hours that you are committing to the job, that you're still putting in, the same integrity that you would at any other job.
Okay. So let me read something to you guys. And this came from Mayshin.com, amateurs versus professionals. The difference between an amateur and a professional is in their habits. An amateur has amateur habits. A professional has professional habits. We can never free ourselves from our habits, but we can replace bad habits with good ones. I want to go a little further with that. Amateurs wait to feel inspired. Professionals stick to a schedule. Amateurs focus on goals. Professionals focus on habits. Amateurs strive to achieve while professionals strive to improve. Amateurs stall after failure. Professionals grow after failure. Amateurs live for opinions. Professionals live for the truth. And amateurs stick to schedules. Or I'm sorry, amateurs do not stick to schedules. Professionals do. What part of what I just read sticks out to you as something important? And again, we're talking about this from a consumer standpoint, not a professional standpoint. Because I think a lot of times when we're talking about professionals, I'll use your industry as an example.
I was going to tell you the difference.
Well, you go ahead, and because it's evident in what you do. If Josh Small were here today, it's evident in what he does.
Right. So I think one of the things about hiring a professional versus an amateur, or maybe somebody that's part-time, that's not as committed to the business, they do it in their spare time, it's kind of their secondary line of income or work, is there's a greater likelihood of something going wrong with the amateur because they're not as committed. So they don't have the systems like in moving. If you find a guy who's got his own truck and maybe he just does moves on the weekends, he doesn't have the experience that a quote unquote professional moving company does, that does moves every day and has their systems in place, and they have consistent movers working for them. Whereas the guy with his little truck that goes out on the weekends, maybe, or does it 1 or 2 days a week, he's, typically finding day labor, finding help that's just not consistent. And so on the front end, you have the risk of the higher risk of something going wrong. Believe me, we make mistakes. We've damaged furniture. We've had issues, but the likelihood of that is much smaller. Okay. Then if you do encounter a problem with that service, the likelihood of getting it resolved in a fair manner or what's right by the customer is a much better outcome with a professional company because they have the resources. I mean, if you pay a mover that does moves 1 day a week and you pay him $500 to move you, and then he has to pay his help and he has to pay his truck, and he made $150 on the move to put in his pocket, and now he's damaged something or he's knocked over your mailbox, and your mailbox is a $500 repair to fix a brick mailbox. where's he going to come up with the money to fix the mailbox?
Right.
You can say, well, I could sue him. Well, that's not a good result. I mean, that takes time. And so, again, but if you're dealing with a company that has resources that can afford to write the check to fix the mailbox, then so dealing with professionals versus amateurs in our business, it happens all the time. And so.
So one of the things, and I love what you said, and I was glad you're going to be on the show today because I know you struggle against that.
Right.
Right. It devalues your industry.
Right.
When those type of people, and you know, bless everybody for trying to make a living. I'm not against that.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to the end of this show today, the thing that I want to come about is let's not misrepresent who we really are, because it does a disservice to the industry that we're in. James, one of the words that you used was commitment. And I would like to kind of challenge that with the word invested.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a part-time person, a weekend warrior can be committed, but if they're not invested, they don't have the resources then to take care of the things when they mess up.
Right.
Right. And I see that in so many professions that they're not really invested in the business. They're invested in making money. They're committed to making money, but they're not operating at a professional level to honestly take care of the people when they make mistakes. Okay, so if you look back, if I call myself a professional and if everything goes perfect, I do a great job, no one will ever know the difference. But if it goes wrong, how's it handled? And you touched on that. What do you guys, give me your thoughts on that?
I think it's something that James talked about the professional aspect of being part-time versus full-time. What you mentioned goes along right with that, especially in our industry, because in part-time, if they've got another job or this is just something that they're doing to make money for vacations or something, then they're not going to work their vacation when your contract comes in. They're not going to take the phone calls after hours. They're not going to make sure that when there is a problem, that it truly is resolved, because they're not worried about if they get the next deal or not because they have income coming in somewhere else, or it's just their part-time gig. So it's kind of like this whole aspect of being able to make sure that it's done correctly and right, and that it's not as imperative. It's not the most important thing to them.
Right.
The reviews and the referrals aren't, whereas they're extremely important to us.
Well, that's the thing about when I said earlier about the habits. Okay, when you have a business structure or a mindset set up of and you've heard me talk about this, Kendra, what's your fix-it strategy? That's one of the things, if I'm partnering with anybody in business, one of the first things I ask when I'm deciding if that's going to be a good fit or not, what's your fix-it strategy? I'm going to tell you what mine is, okay, because things are going to go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it.
Happen.
It's just like an insurance, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So would I rather deal with a company that only is what I would call a direct company, where I have to deal with somebody on the phone? Who do I have on my behalf? Now, I know they're a professional company, but I think it's similar to the fact that I'd rather have an agent on the ground that I have a relationship with that can then call that adjuster and go, hey, look, you guys aren't doing right by my customer. I have somebody on my behalf. Well, when you hire a professional company that has actual people in the field that you can deal with that are committed to this and invested in this on a full-time basis, they're incentivized to get it right, even if they get it wrong on the front end. Because
they're incentivized
they're incentivized to get it right, because their livelihood depends on it. Just like with the realtors that we work with, you know, they are not telling their clients to use delicate moving because it's guaranteed to be perfect. What they've admitted is no matter who you hire in the moving industry, there's always that risk, because moving is a risky problem. I mean, you're picking things up, moving them from one home to another, going up and down stairs. Things can happen, but one reason they refer us is there's less likelihood with us. But in the event that something does go wrong, they want my business. This is what the realtor's saying. They want to continue to get my business. And so if something does go wrong, they're going to treat you fairly and do the right thing, because they know that if they don't take care of you, then I'm not going to send them any more referrals. And so there's that leverage that you can, get when you work with professionals.
Right. Well, and it goes back to being invested. Right, you're invested in what you do. This is not a weekend thing for you, where if it doesn't work out, you'll find another weekend.
And I've got 15-year relationships with realtors and referral partners that I can't all of a sudden just neglect their customers and waste the 15 years where we've built these relationships.
Absolutely. I mean, I used to say when I was in credit repair, one enrollment is not worth my reputation. If I didn't think that that person understood what it took to have good credit and they were going to do their part, there's no point in me taking their money and doing mine because their credit's not going to improve. And so reputation is your brand over time. And I think that professionals really understand that. Cody, jump in here. What do you?
Yeah, no, it's being committed and having the integrity and things of that nature. I mean, me and my guys were in 7 to 7 every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday and Sundays, and that's the commitment that it takes to be the best in our industry.
So we talked earlier, and I think this is for a lot of people. We don't have much time left, but for a lot of people, just the idea, the concept that I get paid to do something makes me a professional. And I completely disagree with that. And I can give you 2 perfect examples. I played minor league football, and I got paid very little. But the Cowboys didn't want me, right? So I wasn't truly a professional. I can't say because I played for money, I was professional. I was runner-up in 2 boxing tournaments, and I got paid the runner-up fee for that, for getting my butt whipped. That doesn't make me a professional. But by a lot of people's misuse of that word, and I think we get into careers that we can get into and say, I'm a professional, whatever, because I went through the training, I passed some tests, I got some license, I got whatever it may be, I'm a professional. But I love the one about the habits and behavior of how we conduct our business. Are you running it as a business? Are you running it as are you just an employee of yourself, right? Lori, you got anything?
I mean, just the same thing, right? I'm a professional, yes. Some people claim because they're getting paid, they are professionals, but it's service level at the end of the day. And I think that's what really differentiates when I'm looking for a partner, what type of service they're going to provide. I want them to treat my friends like their family,
Right.
because when I refer somebody to a partner, they're, my name's
Absolutely.
at the top, right? And I want to make sure that they get the service I would provide to them as well.
All right.
Yeah, when calling someone a professional, that doesn't necessarily mean you're using that as an adjective.
Right.
But if I say that Lori is so professional in the way that she, works and handles real estate, then I'm describing her, and there's a certain connotation with that. But if I just say she's a professional realtor, that doesn't tell me if she's any good or not. It doesn't tell me if she's invested. It just means she's got her license and she's getting paid to be a realtor.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna take a quick break here. Let sponsors have a little bit of time, and when we come back, we're gonna get into this a little bit deeper. We're gonna talk about you kind of segue to it, professionalism. So you guys hang with us. We'll be right back.
3, 2, 1. KVGIRadio.com.
Y'all have really just opened my bubble and just...
KVGI Radio brings you conversation and entertainment. Be sure to follow us on social media. Who streams the best talk shows? We do.
listening to KVGIRadio.com. Streaming live from the KVGI studios in Frisco, Texas. Live without limits.
Welcome back. We are here today with Cody Payne, Lori Wilbur, our special guest today. And so I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves, tell a little bit about who they are, what they do, and why, if you're out there looking for somebody to partner with, you might want to consider them. Kendra, you brought Lori today. Thank you very much for that. Introduce your friend.
So I brought Lori. She is a fantastic real estate agent that I work with, and we've actually done just a lot of networking together as well as business. But Lori Wilbur, she lives in Prosper and does business all over the North Texas area that we're in, and she's with Fathom Realty.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kendra, for that warm introduction and, of course, for having me here today. As she mentioned, my name's Lori Wilbur. I am a real estate agent here in North Texas. I currently live in Prosper. One thing that I want to make sure that you take away today is that I am a bilingual agent. So
Okay.
I particularly joined real estate to help, Hispanic that were not educated on purchasing a home. So that is my primary goal, right, is to help families who don't speak English, educate them, train them on what the next steps are for purchasing a home.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Kendra, now your turn.
I'm with Fidelity National Title in McKinney, but I cover all of Collin County. I basically am a business development assistant VP, and I help my realtor partners and lenders with the closing of their home. So my goal is to get them to bring their listings to us and their sales contracts to us, so that we can do them get their clients closed and do the best job possible.
Awesome. Well, ladies, thank you both for being here today. Across from me is Cody Payne. We met through LinkedIn.
Yes, sir.
And shared some pretty good stories about professionalism already.
Yeah.
But tell everybody who you are and what you do. You kind of have I'm not going to say it's unique, but for a lot of our watchers and viewers and listeners, tell them a little bit about what it is you do.
Well, I like to think that I'm unique. So I'm with Colliers International. We sell investment office buildings, industrial business parks, and things of that nature. So we're just on the investment sales side. Anywhere between $1 to $25 million. I've got 10 guys that work for me. I've been in the industry for about 15 years, and we're mainly focused up here in the North Texas market. Do a little bit of work in a few other areas, but for the most part, what's going on up here keeps us pretty busy.
Do you ever have any of those tenants that need help moving in or out?
Well, if I was leasing, yes, but we're just selling it, so unfortunately, no. But
I was going to say I know a really good moving company.
Oh yeah, no, I think so. I think there's one sitting across from me.
Yeah, there is.
I know,
I heard that.
Great place where you can list those properties too.
Look at that.
All right. Next to me is someone that is going to co-host on the show quite a bit. James Kern with Delicate Moving. James, tell everybody about you and Delicate.
Yeah, James Kern here. Delicate Moving Systems. We are a full-service moving company. What does full service mean? That means we provide packing, moving, unpacking, storage in our privately held and controlled warehouse. We can also unload your truck if you're coming from out of town. We can load your truck if you're trying to move yourself out of town. And we hire full-time movers, no day labor, no temporary help. And we would love to work with you, or if you have clients, if you're in the real estate industry and have clients looking for moves, we'd love to talk with you about that and explain why it would benefit you to have a preferred mover.
Awesome. All right. Y'all ready to get back into this? You had
Definitely.
time to think a little bit more about it too? Let me ask this. Is there a value presumed with the word professional? An implied value? Yes?
Yes.
Why is that? Put you on the spot?
Because you're
Yeah.
getting what you pay for.
You're assuming that this person's educated and takes their job serious and takes their role serious. Or done-
What
and
led,
they're
what
not
led you to,
treating it
what
as
led
a
you to that
job.
assumption?
When you
That
speak-
person?
That person, or just the word professional. The word professional to me says somebody that's educated in that field, trained in that field, possibly certified in that field, especially if say it's an electrician or a plumber, has licenses and has insurance coverage. That's your assumption is if they're a professional, then they're taking this as their career and as their livelihood. It's a part of who they are.
So, in the businesses that we're all in, I don't know so much about yours. You probably do. Are there instances, you touched on this earlier, where some people take advantage of the assumption of being a professional? How does that impact your industry?
I think Lori can really touch on that
I bet
because
she
I
can.
think it really impacts real estate
You know how I
agents.
feel about it.
Yes, I think it really affects someone like Lori and myself because you're dealing with somebody that, that people get into this business thinking in real estate and thinking that, the market's great, especially the last 2-3 years. It's slowed down some, but not the market, but just the realtors getting into it, I hope. But the fact that it's easy, they don't realize that it is a true job. It is a career. You have to be willing to spend full time, many hours a day till 10 o'clock at night. On your vacation is whenever all the contracts come in, and that's when all of a sudden it blows
That's when
up.
professionalism really rises to the top.
Yes, and so that to me, a realtor has to understand. There's a lot of fees involved. So I think Lori's probably somebody really good to address that because of the fact of how she has to deal with it in the marketplace with when her consumers come to her as
Okay.
well.
And I want to start off, and I'm really glad you're here today. Indra's heard me preach on this over and over and over again because I've been involved in the real estate industry for almost 20 years now. And and I don't do this to offend anybody, but I have said that I believe there's 5 types of real estate agents. There's hobby, part-time, semi-pro, professional, and elite professional. I'm not criticizing any of them, but I do think that there's a certain segment that by their behavior devalues the industry and makes it tougher on the ones that are at the upper end, that really are invested in what they're doing in their career and in their industry. What are your thoughts as far as, are there challenges for those realtors when they're, are you ever inclined or asked to discount your prices because people think that, well, touch
No,
on that, talk
so
about it.
absolutely. I mean, even from people you wouldn't expect, right? Your friends and family in this industry, that's who you rely on, right? For your leads, your sphere of influence. And sometimes your friends and family will ask you for discounts. So not only as real estate agents are we already competing with companies like Redfin and Open Door, where they're trying to eliminate that personal, interaction with somebody. We're now dealing with realtors that are listing for 1% or taking discounts. And I've been asked several times, and to me, my response is always, I'm not a used car salesperson. No offense to anybody that's in the industry, but this is my job. This is what I take seriously. I want to provide the utmost service level, right? I want to bring exceptional customer service in the real estate industry. I want my clients to know that I'm going to go over and beyond for them. You basically get what you pay for. I can definitely list their home at a discount price, but I won't be doing open houses. I won't do much marketing. I'll let the house sell for itself. And if it's on the market for over 100 days, that's what they paid for. So when answering those questions, what makes me different is I'm going to be there every step of the way, from the moment we start looking at homes, from when we start working with title. And like I mentioned earlier that I am a bilingual agent, that's one thing that I tell, especially my Spanish-speaking customers, that from the beginning of the transaction to the end, it's going to be in their language. They're going to understand it, that the title person's going to have somebody that's going to explain the documents to them in Spanish. The inspector, I mean, that's a little bit harder, but I will be there, and when we're having the inspection, translating everything for them. I mean, it is the biggest transaction of your life, so for you to ask for somebody to take it on as a discount, I mean, it's like, would I tell you to go into your job and take 2 weeks off and not get paid?
Right.
And I was going to say, I can actually tag onto that, and kind of what, it seems like Lori, she's got this, list of things that, she can offer and things of that nature to people, which, a lot of realtors that I know don't have. On our side, a Texas real estate license, you can sell office, you can sell land, you can sell a center, you can sell a house. And so people, dip into our stuff all the time, which is fine, but that's where I see a lot of mistakes made because we deal more on the financial world. And so, our industry is really dictated by the debt market, by the stock market, things of that nature. And so I've seen a lot of key mistakes by somebody using maybe a generalist or something of that nature that doesn't truly have the experience of what these buildings should be operating at or something of that nature. And so that's where I've seen a lot of those mistakes happen as well. And so everybody that works for me has got, management, leasing, all sorts of experience in that end. So these guys can make the right decision.
So between all four of you, if I'm a consumer, I'm looking for a real estate agent, I'm looking for a title company. We talked before, and I said about the 5 just in real estate, but I think that's almost in anything. I mean, you've got the weekend warriors that do moves. And again, I don't fault anybody for trying to make some extra money. The purpose of this show today is I just wish that people would not misrepresent who they truly are. If you are someone that's doing things on the weekend, be honest about it. I do this on the weekend for extra money.
Yeah.
And I can save you money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you present yourself as a professional and you fail to do the job correctly, it devalues each and every one of you and your industry, because that person's mindset now is it's not worth the money. But what they didn't do, and you said this before, the due diligence to really understand who should command a certain value.
Well, it's no different than getting food poisoning at a restaurant,
Right?
It's almost the same thing.
Right?
So, I mean, you probably won't go back to that person if your experience was that bad.
Yes, but you'll keep going to other restaurants.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. I think that's a great point. I want to talk about that. So let's say you get food poisoning at a restaurant. It's not going to stop you from eating, right? It's not going to stop you from going to another restaurant. You're not going to go to the next restaurant and go, I got food poisoning at your competitor, so I'm going to pay you less this time because I don't trust you. You really don't do that. But in y'all's industry, it happens every day.
Oh yeah.
Well, and it hurts you because you have an opportunity to move someone once. I mean, there's some people that move every year because they're moving from apartment to apartment or what have you. But I mean, if we get an opportunity to move somebody who just sold their home, they're not moving for another 5 to 10 years, most likely. And so you chip away at those deals enough. You get chipped away. Those deals get chipped away by all of the fly by night, all of the, one guy in a truck and goes and hires some day labor to do stuff on the weekend, and it drives the price down. Now we're having a problem finding good help because you have to have margins in any business to stay in business. I mean, I tell people all the time about the discount deal, and that doesn't mean we don't offer discounts, because we do at times. There's different specials, but if you're coming to us based on it, because I'll have people go, you have great reviews. Oh I have a friend that's used you 3 times. You've moved everybody in their family. What kind of discount can I get? And I go, well, we didn't earn that reputation being a discount mover. I mean, you didn't hear about how good we were because we were out there doing things on the cheap and hiring cheap labor and be able to give you a discount. So you want that same service that you heard about, we have to charge a certain price.
Well, and I know Lori gets this too, because I know I get it, is where they'll have a bad experience with somebody and they'll come to us and say, hey, I don't want to list it because, this guy did this, or I want it for a less fee because of this. And we'll generally explore what happened in that scenario, and I'll say, okay, well, look, you were essentially using a dentist to, fix your heart or something of that nature. And so it's really reverting back to, figuring things out. But yeah, no, we get hit with those quite often.
And we, it's always, well, can you do it for $500? I paid $500 for my last move, and I'm like, well, who did you use on your last move? Oh, I can't remember. They were horrible. So I'm supposed to match the price of the horrible mover. I mean, it's amazing, what we, as consumers, what we
same
get.
Service they gave you for $500.
Yeah, exactly.
When was that? 92?
And in title, our biggest issue is the customer service aspect of it, the communication, making sure that people are on top of it, making sure they're on top of the files, making sure that if there's an issue that's coming, usually a lot of it, the issues revolve around us not having documents from lenders. It's just communicating that with our clients and communicate that with the real estate agent, with the buyer, the seller, so they know that if closing has had to change the time, there's a reason behind it, and we're just not dropping the ball. And they still ask us to discount our fees as well. But that's for somebody that may be sending us all of their business. And then even then, we have some of the lowest fees out there. And most of our fees are set by the state.
Right.
So pretty much you're going to get what you're going to get. But with us, again, it's all, and I think also in all of our businesses, it's what we do is referral based. It is so referral based. That person that's the first time home buyer, they may not move for 5 years, but they're going to tell all their little friends they're moving out of that apartment complex or graduating or getting married, graduating from college or whatever. They're going to tell them about you because you did such a great job moving it.
Well, and I was talking to a friend the other day about this, and we were talking about, how do you want to leave the customer when it's over? And I think that if our objective is, I want that customer to feel like they got more than what they paid for, that's where you're going to get your referrals. That is going to add to your perceived value as a professional. But I think that how much time we got? About 2 minutes left. I want to go back when we come back from break and talk about the habits of a professional and why those are important. And when we wrap this up in the next segment, I want people listening to understand what they need to be looking for, because you're all professionals, but you're also consumers. Right? And you know what you expect. And the thing that irritates me the most, and I know someone just like this, she is an office manager and she is exceptional at her job. But when she becomes a consumer, she is the epitome of the nightmare that she hates to come into her job. She really is. She asks for exceptions. It's just, and I wonder if we're all not kind of like that sometimes, right?
I think we are.
Not enough chips in the
that's just-
basket.
we are.
And I think that the self-awareness that we all need to have, I think if we look at that and go, that's what I can't handle, so that's what's going to help me elevate and continue to improve the service that I'm trying to give. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. We're going to cut now and go to break. Are we ready? You ready? All right, so we're going to go to break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hang with us, everyone. If you've got any questions or thoughts on professionalism or where you hired a professional that you thought was and it didn't work out, send us a message. Let us know. You can comment if you're watching us on Facebook Live. We'll be back in just a minute.
3, 2, 1. KVGIRadio.com.
Y'all have really just opened my bubble and just.
KVGI Radio brings you conversation and entertainment. Be sure to follow us on social media. Who streams the best talk shows? We do.
listening to KVGIRadio.com. Streaming live from the KVGI studios in Frisco, Texas. Live without limits.
Boom. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. We're talking today about what it means to be professional. Before we get back into our conversation, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors and the people that make this show happen. Obviously, I got two of them sitting with me today, Kinder Strawn and James Kern. But I want to give a thanks to Holly Haggard with Geneva Financial. She doesn't just work 8 to 5. She works start to finish. She's been in the mortgage industry for over 18 years. If you're looking for someone, and rates are super low right now, if you're looking for someone to help you refi or you're looking to purchase, give her a call at 817-761-5626. Also want to give a big thanks to Adam Terrell and Liz Terrell. They have created the Real Estate Triangle. It's a group of small business owners. It's an online community where a group of small business owners can go to surround themselves with people that are involved in a real estate transaction. If you're looking for partners in that in your particular industry, then you can go online, Facebook. They're actually in 9 cities, I believe. They're Northwest Arkansas, Little Rock, Las Vegas, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Austin, Waco, and here in Dallas. Next, I would like to thank Brian Poduska with Real Property Management Focus. Brian is right here in Frisco, and he believes communication, action, and integrity are the cornerstones of the world-class service that they provide at Real Property Management Focus. You can reach Brian at 469-820-0088. All of our sponsors you can find on our website, and which will be in links here after the show is over. I want to thank Josh Small with WeatherTech General Contracting, remodeling, roofing, construction, home building, all of it. If you're a real estate agent and you're looking for someone to partner with there, I'd really recommend WeatherTech. I've known Josh for over 20 years. James, sitting beside me, has worked with him quite a bit.
Working with him right now.
Absolutely. And you can reach Josh and WeatherTech at 469-544-3958. And last but certainly not least, Steve Pine with Patterson and Associates Insurance Group. Steve has been a certified insurance counselor since 2008. He's a partner with Patterson. He was president of the Young Agents of Dallas in 2011 and won honor of Young Agent of the Year in 2012. He also served as president of the Independent Insurance Agents of Dallas. So if you're looking to partner or you're looking to solicit the services of any of these people, you can find them on our website or you can find them here afterwards. All right, let's get back into our topic. Does anybody have anything they want to start with?
I'm going to have to use that. We don't work 8 to 5. We work start to finish. I did like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to start using that.
That's a professional way of
I like that.
approaching
It
your
is.
business.
I like that.
I mean, isn't that, we have to. You
Yeah.
mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
And so many people come out of corporate world, and again, it's difficult to make transitions. I get it. I understand why people do real estate part-time in the beginning, because that's a hard job to jump into full-time, right? Sometimes it's
Absolutely.
hard to make a transition. So I understand that. Again, what this whole conversation about is today is let's make sure we're not over labeling ourselves. And especially if you're coming into the real estate industry, it's really good to partner with a professional and have that support and that background. So why is it important to be considered professional? Don't everybody speak at once.
Why is it good to be considered professional?
Yeah.
Well, I know in our industry, it kind of means you're the go-to. You're that go-to source for that particular thing because, in commercial real estate, I mean, there's several firms out here, and everybody gets, all the labels of, you usually start as an associate, then you kind of work your way up, senior associate, vice president, things of that nature, and everybody kind of looks for when they're calling in or when they're looking at some of this stuff, they're looking for the highest tiered person. And so I think the reason for that is because that'll show experience, track record, things of that nature. And so, being labeled as that is something that a lot of people strive for.
Well, it does a lot for setting your perceived value, right?
Yeah.
And if they consider you valuable before the process starts, they're much less likely to start asking for a discount.
And perception is such a big deal.
It is.
Perception as to how you do your business and what you're doing, and if you are a professional, is huge. So to me, I mean, just the perception of that I'm a professional in my field, and I know real estate, and I know title, and I know how to help network, and I know how to help my lenders and realtor partners and other partners get connected to the people they need to get connected to is a big deal. Just that perception of being professional, but actually being professional and follow through. That's the other part, which I know you love, is follow through.
Follow through. That's important. We mentioned before the habits. Why are habits important in our professionalism?
To me, it's consistency, right? Is having a plan of action.
Bingo.
So it's just not, I'm going to wake up and do this. It's knowing, okay, I need to do this many hours of prospecting. I need to do this much, but also balancing your personal life. One thing that I take pride in is knowing that it's important for me to feel healthy in order to give 100% into my role.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm not balancing a great lifestyle outside of work, then I'm going to be sluggish. I'm not going to want to wake up with enthusiasm to helping clients. And I'm going to start my day, whatever time I roll out of bed. But having something where I know every morning I need to do this, I need to eat a great breakfast, I'm going to work out, but then that's going to fulfill me personally. So I'm going to be able to outpour more to my customers.
Very good. I like that. And consistency, when we talk about follow-up and consistency, that's important because you can't be good at follow-up if you're not consistent.
No.
You just can't. This Steve Pressfield in a book called The War of Art. This is a little saying that he's got. The amateur plays for fun, the professional plays for keeps. The amateur plays part-time, the professional plays full-time. The amateur is a weekend warrior. The professional shows up 7 days a week. I think that when we're talking about the habits, I think for me, a person that I feel the most comfortable calling a professional is that person that is committed to personal and professional growth and development. And they have, they plan their strategies. It's not just something that I feel like it today, but tomorrow I may not feel like it. I feel like it 3 days from now, but I may not feel like it now. They don't go off of feelings. They go off of what they've committed themselves to do. And as we said before, beginning the show, they're invested, because when we talk about commitment, that's another word that I love, but I also hate, because what are you committed to? Okay. Are you committed to the result? I need to make an extra $300 this week, so I'm going to rent a truck and I'm going to go out and put stickers around an apartment complex and try to make some money. I got a couple of buddies, and I told them I'd buy them a case of beer if they'd help me. But I can pay my cell phone bill if I get this move done. too bad if I drop the television and run a $800, $900 television.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for. So when you hear, I mean, they're committed to making money that weekend.
Oh yeah.
And they're committed to finding somebody to move. But are they committed to
To getting it right.
to getting it right, and again, to the industry? I mean, we're fortunate to be in the industries that we're in, right? It's a
agree.
privilege.
Absolutely.
We're not entitled to be where we are.
No.
No.
And if we look at it that way, that it is a privilege to be here, I owe something back to this industry. I need to invest myself in a behavior and habits that are continuously elevating who I am, who I am in this industry. Am I working to be an icon? You kind of said this before. Your label it should define you. And that's why I wanted to do this show, and we're going to be doing this all month. We're going to be talking about that because I want different perspectives from everybody that comes on. But I think too many people hide behind the label professional so that they can put it on cruise control. Lori, we talked about this before. You know, I've worked with real estate agents for 20 years now, and most of them come from corporate America. They have an employee mindset, but they got, and to be honest, they got tired of being told what to do all the time. They realized that working for myself, I'm my own boss. But what they forgot is that by being your own boss, you still have to tell yourself what to do. That's where the habits come in. If not, you become an unsupervised employee. And what happens when you have an unsupervised employee?
Runs rampant.
Failure.
They fail.
Failure.
And I think this is just probably generalizing, but some of the best real estate agents are coming from being a teacher or a nurse because they have to do a few things in there. They have to serve others, they have to listen, and they have to basically figure out how to get things done when it's after hours. They're not so much a nurse, but in the teaching profession, they're working after hours. They're working summers even when they're not working summers. But they're also thinking outside the box if there's a situation that comes up. So those tend to be really good real estate agents.
Absolutely.
Because now they may need to learn how to run their own business, but they at least have some other aspects of their personality that are going to really fit well into that industry.
Well, and I preach the same thing to all my guys, almost every day. Is, obviously we're in it for the money. I mean, that's kind of an underlying thing, but, I always tell them, if you want to be the best in the business, you got to be the face of the product that you're selling. So, we got to be the face of the office and industrial division. I've got a couple guys that do self-storage and RV parks, and that's, Kyle Newswinger and Justin Beck. And, those guys are working to be the face of that product. And how do you do that is you get the knowledge, you get the experience, you get everything you need. You got to commit, you got to be disciplined. You got to do everything necessary to be that individual. And so that's something that me and all the guys strive for every day. And that's, why we go in every day.
Absolutely. So how can you, all four of you, how can you work to bring the awareness of professionalism in what you do? After having this conversation today, did it open your eyes to anything about some of the challenges? I mean, you've talked about this 100 times, and I know. We're all I don't know that there's any business. Most every business gets a black eye somewhere at some point, right? And it's usually from those that are operating on less than a professional level. What are your thoughts now leaving today on what you want to bring back to the industry that you're in and to elevate yourself above? Because I think you all are there. But I think the self-awareness of, wow, I really want to level up one more time. What's some ways you can do that, Lori?
I think the key word is self-awareness. Back to what you were just talking about. I came from corporate America. I worked at an IT company for 12 years. And it was the biggest transition, right? I went from working with CIOs, CTOs, business people who knew what their timeline was, what their budget was, and it was either a yes or no. So very cutthroat, right? They had an answer immediately, and we would sign a contract. Where now it's like you have so much competition, and you're working with those realtors who are offering discounts, so you're having to show that value and what makes you different. One thing is, I won't go and try to sell land. I'm not an area in that field.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if somebody comes and says, hey, can you help me find land? Absolutely, but let me partner with somebody who that's their area of expertise. To me, I want to make sure they know that I work with first-time home buyers, and I specialize in that. And I love working with first-time home buyers. I like working with families who are looking to buy properties for their college kids. They're tired of paying rent on apartments. So I'm going to make sure that I stay in my lane as well. Yeah, will I take on the business? Absolutely. But I'm going to be honest and tell them I'm not an expert here, but I have
love that.
partners
I love that. I mean,
that
that's
are going to help me.
absolutely, and that's, we talked about that. Don't misrepresent who you really are, and I completely respect that. I think that is awesome. Kendra?
I think that some of the areas that myself, just the self-improvement of being able to partner with my various vendor partners, especially the real estate agents and lenders, and letting them know exactly, that I'm there to help them grow their business, and I'm there to help them find out what they need, be it their technology, our apps, our variety of software, and or just the networking, or do they need to be partnered with lenders? Lenders want all realtors. They want realtors, realtors, realtors. Yeah, so I can give 10 lenders the same realtors, but that doesn't work. But the issue is, it's just learning about what truly our clients need and making sure we follow through, and making sure that I communicate with whatever escrow officer that I send the information to. Because we have 4 licensed escrow officers in our office. And 2 of them are bilingual enough to be able to go through the closing docs. And the issue is making sure that they're paired with the right person, making sure
Good.
that the job gets done. And if I have a client that comes in that's a first client that never sent me anything, I'm going to make sure the escrow officer knows everything about that person, that real estate agent or that lender, so that they can make sure that they follow through and that they're taken care of and they come back. Just with us, it's about coming back. It's about the repeat business, and or me finding out, okay, you're about to leave that title company. What happened? Tell me what occurred there that you did like and that you didn't like, so that we know that we can fix that.
Yeah. James, what about you?
Well, the biggest challenge for me, and it just this reiterates it for us, is our product is our movers, basically. I mean, yes, there's customer service on the front end, and how do we talk to customers? How do we educate them on the process, and how do we do all of that? And then if during the course of the move we deal with issues, but really our cheeseburger, so to speak, is our
Right.
are the movers, and so we have got to continue to strive to communicate with our employees. Here's what professionalism looks like. Here's what the expectations of the customer are. Here's how we expect you to deliver that. And that starts with finding the right guys, or women if they're packers, and finding the right people first,
I
and
got
then
that one.
Yeah, I did
and then
the
implement.
guys packing.
And then, we have guys that pack, but
We're
we have
just
women
teasing.
too that pack. But really just trying to get them to understand and buy in why it matters, and it makes their job easier. I mean, I've told guys all the time, that first impression of when you show up was started with the phone call you made to them when you left the office that morning. Because if they're just sitting around waiting, we give them an 8 to 10 arrival window, and they don't get a call, and they just show up. They could have gone to Starbucks. They
Right.
could have, we got on a conference call for whatever. And so that's that first impression. And those are the things about professionalism we're just trying to improve every day.
Good stuff.
Well,
we got about 30 seconds left.
well, yeah, I guess I can be quick. It's not like she said. Repeat business in our industry is very key because the pool's a lot smaller. So if we didn't have repeat business, we'd probably be out of business. But also like Lori said, not being a discount broker and things of that nature, because all that does is dilute your brand over time,
Right.
and that's what you'll be labeled as,
Right.
over time. And so all those things are very key.
Yeah, you set the precedent. When you start dropping prices and you do it consistently, it becomes expected.
That's right. You got
It's
a
hard-
banner on
it-
your face
Right.
that says
Absolutely.
discount.
So, all right, we are out of time today. This went really fast. I appreciate everyone for being here. I want to thank everybody that tuned in and watched today. We will replay this. Unfortunately, we were unable to get the YouTube live going today, but I want to thank you all for being here. You can follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe to YouTube and LinkedIn. And I just want to say thanks again. And remember, you can never make a difference until you're consistent in doing the things that make the difference. We'll see you guys next week.